Alright, so I think it's safe to say that Russell Westbrook, there's just definitely something wrong with him at this point in his career. I understand that there are the quad issues that he's been dealing with since training camp, I guess, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's something else undisclosed that is happening with Westbrook right now, but the way it looks, it just seems like Russell Westbrook is simply past his prime and is just not an elite NBA player anymore, which I mean, it is a knock on him, although I'm not saying it to be a knock on him. It's just a simple factual statement that Russell Westbrook is not playing as well as he used to. And there's nothing wrong with that. Russ gave us plenty of years of dominance, whether you think that his triple doubles were, you know, good for winning or not. I don't really care about that argument. Russell Westbrook was an elite level player, one of the best players we've ever seen in NBA history, one of the most unique players we've seen in NBA history. I mean, the man, I don't care what you think about the triple double stat itself, but to average one for an entire season is absolutely crazy and something that we probably won't be seeing done for another decades or so. But outside of living in the past, it's safe to say again that Russell Westbrook is just not the same anymore. He just doesn't have it. He's not shooting well. He's not attacking the rim the same. And again, that might just be due to his quad injury or something else that's bothering him. But I think we're in a safe enough stretch where he's played 10 games this season and he just has not looked good in any single one of them. And that's not to say that Russell Westbrook can't still be an effective player in the NBA. I mean, he's still averaging 9 rebounds and 10 assists in his 9 outings so far this season. It's just more so that offensively, he's become such a non-scoring threat that teams are willing to let him do what he wants because it usually ends in a miss. While shooting 37% from the field, 30% from 3, and 61% from the foul line, he continues to have these post-game press conferences and quotes where he says that he just simply needs to try harder and, you know, get back to his normal self. And again, that might just be eluding his injuries that he's dealing with, but it's just becoming a repetitive pattern where you start to ask yourself, you know, will we ever see Russ Westbrook actually be making these shots again? And I just don't know if that is ever going to be a thing. But ironically, the funny thing about this whole scenario is obviously there was the big trade in the offseason with Westbrook and John Wall essentially being swapped. And funny enough, the Rockets somehow got the better end of this, mostly just due to the fact that they also got a pick out of the trade as well. And I say that because John Wall and Westbrook have put up some pretty similar numbers if you look through the stats. They both played 9 games, they're both averaging around 18 points per game, and while Westbrook obviously has the advantage in the assists and rebounds, John Wall, you could say, has actually been on a winning team that's actually won a few games. And that's not a compliment to the Rockets, it's more just a statement of fact that they have won more games than the Washington Wizards. Meanwhile, both teams have been pretty terrible to open up the season. Even if there were some way to reverse this trade, I don't think the team's records would be very different at this point in the season because, as I said, both point guards have been having pretty similar seasons statistically and just, you know, physically. Now, the big issue for both of these players, and again, I'm sticking to Westbrook just because this is a video about Westbrook, is that his contract still has multiple years of $40 million payments left on it, and he's just simply not going to be labeled as an effective player until that contract is up and he re-signs for less money. Now, obviously, a lot can change in that amount of time until Russell Westbrook is eventually a free agent, so I'm not here to make any predictions about what team is going to sign him or where he's going to go or where he wants to go, but I honestly do think we could see some sort of a redemption arc for Russell Westbrook at the end of his career because, like I said, he's still an effective NBA player. It's just the fact that his contract is so big right now is why people are labeling him as a bust for his current play. In my opinion, the Washington Wizards brought him on to be a star player who could help get Bradley Beal and the rest of this young Wizards team to the playoffs and get them some playoff experience, but that's just not simply worked out the way it has so far. Me myself, I was very high on this Wizards team in this past offseason. I was projecting them to be a back half playoff team somewhere in that 6 to 8 seed range, and so far I could not have been more wrong. I'm still trying to hold out hope that this is simply just a prolonged injury for Westbrook and that he might just need some more time to heal and get better, but as I said, just as every day passes, it's just seeming more and more unlikely that that's the case. I think it might just truly be the end of the time of Russell Westbrook being a star player in the NBA, which is unfortunate, but at least he gave us plenty of memorable moments and just crazy stretches of play and plenty of great playoff moments as well. and I think we could all respect Brody for that. And as I said, unfortunately, it is looking like the end of the road for Russell Westbrook, but it is certainly not the end of his career. Because as I've said, he's still averaging 9 rebounds and 10 assists as a 32-year-old point guard. And while he might not be the best defender, he has shown that he can still be a physical presence on that end of the court. And if he's willing to put the effort in, I still think he could be a good, bench kind of veteran presence, maybe like a Rajon Rondo and what he's done for teams in the past couple of seasons. I think that's something that Russell Westbrook could also get done. And just all in all, it's going to come down to Westbrook willing to accept the fact that he's not a star player anymore, because obviously the big thing that came with the trade for John Wall is that Westbrook wanted to be the man again. But I think this might be the final straw in proving to Westbrook that he is just simply not good enough to be a number one on a team anymore, and he needs to accept that. He needs to accept a new role of being a playmaker, or just a rebounder, or just a veteran presence who can help lead a team of younger players who are better than him. And I think that this is something that he is starting to realize as he's quickly learning that Bradley Beal is the leader of this Washington Wizards team, and I hope that he can really see this and just accept it and give way to other players to grow and help these younger players grow and get better at the game of basketball, because that is what's going to save Westbrook's legacy in the end. And that'll do it for this video. As always, drop some comments down below with your opinions on the Westbrook scenario right now. Outside of that, leave a like if you enjoyed this video or this type of content. And as always, most importantly, thank you for watching.